I got the idea for being an entrepreneur. It wasn't like some brilliant moment that I had. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. It was really out of necessity. I was a writer and producer in television. I had 3 movies set up, and they all got pulled away from me in a couple of weeks. And I just bought my first house. I had 2 little kids. I thought I was living an independent life because I was a writer, and so I felt independent. My life felt independent. I could come and go as I want. I had no control over my financial destiny, which surprised me and shocked me and depressed me. And I started thinking, well, what else can I do? And I didn't really even know. And so my first step was going to kind of a networking meeting. It was a entrepreneurial business networking. I didn't really know anyone there, and met a few people. I went to an entrepreneur's lunch. I got more an idea that people could create their own businesses. And this is 2004. And I started to pick up that something was changing. Something was changing in the world. With the internet, you had access that never existed before. You had research abilities that never existed before. You could reach markets that never existed before, and you could sell stuff really quickly if you had something to offer. And then the big moment for me came when I went to my first internet marketing seminar a couple of months after that, and I really went cold. I didn't know anything about this stuff. And I sat there listening, and I listened to speaker after speaker, and slowly it started sinking in that virtually unlimited market now, right? You don't set up a store in your little town and hope that you can sell it to your neighbors. You set up a store online and you sell it to the entire world. And the second part was virtually no cost, because if you have manufactured goods, you can produce them per sale or, in pieces. You didn't have to warehouse a lot of things. And if you had information products, well, you didn't have to warehouse anything. So I sat there going, virtually no cost, virtually infinite market. Virtually no cost, virtually infinite market. And I never took a business class, but I thought, that sounds good. Like, that's something I can work with. Why is it a good time to be an entrepreneur now? I think it'd be crazy to be anything but. The tools are so cheap. The market is so huge, which basically includes everyone on earth because it's now an interconnected world. To not be an entrepreneur, even if you have a full-time job, is crazy. You can easily make income on your own. The barriers to entry to set up a business are lower than ever before. The tools that are available online are often free, if not cheap, and you can get a business up and running for a few $100. The difference between being an entrepreneur and not an entrepreneur, one of the scariest sounds in the world to me is an alarm clock. I don't know why, but ever since I was a little kid, the idea of an alarm clock going off and I had to show up somewhere for someone else, even for school, always bothered me. The difference is that I wake up in the morning, I take my kids to school, or I just head out to the hot tub and I do my reading, have some breakfast. I usually get enough work done before 10 or 11. I feel like I've done a whole day. And then I get to figure out what I want to do. It's often reading, it's often working more, or meeting with people, creating new stuff, or just enjoying the day and being grateful I'm alive, really. I have, it's a personal thing, just showing up in an office day after day, to me personally, has always been a kind of death, not to overstate it. But I'll tell you a great story. When I was really young, I had no money, and I really wanted to travel. And I was very young, and I'd gotten married very young, and we wanted to travel to India. And we wanted to go to the East and just take 6 months. So we went to work. I took a job doing data input or something. And I was talking to the woman at the next cubicle, and I said, well, I'm leaving next week. I've really enjoyed knowing you. And she goes, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going to the Far East for 6 months. She goes, you're taking a 6-month vacation? And I was like, I really thought about that word, vacation. I said, I'm not vacating anything. I'm filling my life. And that's always been, it's just, I don't know how it happened that's how I look at life, but life is limited, and I always look at it as something you fill. And so I never thought of like the fun part of life as vacating something else. I really look at it as filling something. And as an entrepreneur, I get to fill it with whatever excites me and find the people to work with to make it all work and profitable.